All right, fellow hunters, welcome back once again to maybe the last episode. Maybe we'll do another one of Hunters in Prime.
Woo!
I'm Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always?
I am Isaac, the illustrious,
And
and
we're here.
yeah, we're here.
Yep,
Finally.
we're here. We're here. Yeah, after I think we first started we should do these when the first Prime 4 trailer came out, which was June of last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I think we recorded first two episodes in July or August, and then September or October, whatever. And then long time passes. Then we did Hunters, bad game.
Yeah.
And then now we're finally here to do Prime 3, the end of a trilogy. Game came out, George W. Bush was still president. I was 12 years old. A lot of things are going on in 2007.
I was 7. So
What did you do you have any history with this game? At the time of release, did you know or care about it? Or were you a little bit too young and you weren't keyed into games coming out?
Because of my older brother, I was keyed into stuff. I would watch the Nintendo showcase and all that stuff. I caught up with stuff. And I did really like Prime 1. The main way I knew Prime 3 was happening, though, was, I'm sure you remember, Nintendo put out a free-to-download preview channel on the Wii where you could watch trailers. I was bummed because there wasn't a demo. I couldn't just try the game.
Yeah,
but you could watch
true.
trailers and clips and other stuff of Prime 3. I have vivid memories of watching that and being pretty enamored with the game. I was always like, this game looks fucking awesome. Prime 1 was cool, but this game looks like the fucking shit. So
yeah, it looks like it's better than Prime 1 because it's newer.
Yeah.
So,
and also, it's on the thing that it's on the fucking the goddamn drumsticks fucking controller. So I was pretty enamored by it. I have never played Prime 3 until now, though. Never touched it.
Yep. So did you watch? I think Nikki played it. I don't know if they ever beat it, but did you ever watch them play it or
no experience? I don't know if they played
so
it
this
much.
was
If
your
they
first...
did, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So obviously, I'm a big Metroid fan. I've been so my entire life.
Yep.
I've probably talked about that in the previous episodes, but it's been so long that it's worth a little refresher.
Yep.
And Prime 2 was the first one that was new, and I was really aware of it being new, because even when Fusion and Prime came out, those were new games to me, but I just got Fusion because my cousin had it. I didn't realize that it came out in stores, and I was just playing it on my Game Boy Advance because he would let me borrow it. And then eventually for I think it was my birthday that year, 2003, the year after the game came out, is when he gave it to me. Same thing with Prime on the GameCube. That was a holiday present, alongside the GameCube. We got that. Crash Wrath of Cortex on the GameCube,
as every 7-year-old does.
And then what else was there? Simpsons Hit and Run, and what was the last game? Oh, Star Wars Rogue Squadron Rebel Assaults, whatever,
Yeah, those are
one of those freaking games.
Yeah, one of those bangers. Those Factor 5 Star Wars games are actually really good.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
it was pretty cool. That I played all of those a shit ton as a kid, but of course Prime was the one I was the most keyed into.
Right.
So after 2 came out, I was properly an obsessed fanboy with this series. It was that and Zero Mission coming out the same year that really made me into the monster you see before you. And I started just going on. I remember literally months after Prime 2 came out, begging my dad to like, can you look up on the internet when they're gonna make like Prime 3? Just because like this was when kids, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, there used to be one computer in a house, and
oh my god,
you know, yeah, you used to not be able to use it except for in special occasions to go on the internet and watch HomestarRunner.com. That is what you did with it, or play Neopets.
For me, it was Club Penguin and Angry Video Game Nerd. Yeah, yeah.
See, for me, Angry Video Game Nerd was around. That was when the Wii came out, so I got to watch that using the Wii internet channel. So that was fun. I just like got the Wi-Fi from like one of my neighbors, and then just went on the Wii internet channel. But that also is, kind of goes into the hype for Prime 3. Like, obviously, I was on places like Metroid Database, which was like it's still around, I think. Those people are really fucking annoying, by the way. The people that run that website.
Rounding appreciation from.
Yeah. But yeah, they're just ran by like pretty annoying people, and they had like, there's a new DS game coming out called Metroid Dread, and there's the third game in the Prime series coming out, etc. in 2006. And I was like, I need to get the Revolution. It's gonna be the greatest console of all time. You can play every video game on it. Like, my brain didn't understand the Virtual Console, so I literally thought that you could like take your Sega Genesis games and put them into the Wii, or take your like NES games or whatever. So that was like around when I started to become. That's when the collector bug like really bit into me, just because I grew up with a Genesis, so that's what I started collecting first, and then like 13th birthday, so like the year after this game came out, was when I got an NES and a Super Nintendo. First game on the NES I got was Dragon Quest, by the way. Like, complete in box. Nice.
That's legit. That's a fucking pick.
Yep. I think it was probably one of the like the Nintendo Power copies. Like, do you know about that? That they sent free copies of Dragon Quest to.
That's how everyone played that fucking game. Was fucking Nintendo Power. It's like, I think the Nintendo Power like also was like a full guide for it too. So it's just like, fucking, here you go. Yeah. I mean, that game's like 3 minutes long anyway. So
right. Yeah. And after playing the remake recently, I was like, I kind of also want to play the NES version. Just because it's so short, but just because.
I have finished very few JRPGs. One of the only ones I have finished is actually Dragon Quest 1, but the Super Famicom version. Yeah. I just picked up the fucking HD like 2D remake of 1 and 2, so I'll probably play that soon.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been kind of rambling, but I just want to like paint the picture of like the lead up to Prime 3. By the time that the game was coming out, like had the Wii for a while, basically mostly just for Twilight Princess. I don't really think that many other games came out in 2007 besides Twilight Princess, obviously Twilight Princess was at the end of the year of 2006, and then I was just playing it mostly in 2007. But like, it was like that, a few Virtual Console games here and there, and then like renting Mario Galaxy was like most of my experience of like the first year of having a Wii. But I was like dead set on Prime 3, and I was so hyped for it. It was probably the most excited I've been about a game until Metroid Prime 4. So fingers crossed. That game's coming out very soon at the time of us recording this. So that's going to be, I'm taking like a week off from work to just play that game.
I plan on taking the weekend off too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the last couple weeks before Prime 3 came out, they were like they had that promotional channel, but they also did Virtual Console releases of the original Metroid and Super Metroid. And the original Metroid I had already played because it was a bonus with the first Prime game,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd never played Super Metroid up to that point. So that was my first time playing that game, and that was like almost as exciting. Like the week before Prime 3 came out, playing through Super Metroid for the first time was like, you know, almost as exciting as playing Prime 3 itself. And you know, Super Metroid's a fucking masterpiece.
It's
So
funny, like I didn't get Prime 3 until my friend gifted me the Prime Trilogy. I actually don't have the regular copy of Prime 3. I have Prime Trilogy. But I did get Super Metroid off of the Virtual Console. So my first Metroid game was Prime. My second was Super Metroid. I never made it far. I think I made it to like the second fucking area. I don't even think I felt like great or anything. But I remember thinking that game was super fucking cool, that you can moonwalk and shit. So for me, I was hyped for Metroid, but I knew I even back then I was like, well, I haven't played 2, so it wouldn't make sense. So yeah, for me, I was already busy with like Excite Truck and stuff. I was probably one of the only people who got a Wii. We got a Wii like a few months after it came out, and we didn't get Twilight Princess because we got it on GameCube. So we had Excite Truck, We Play, Red Steel. I vaguely remember renting some stuff. I got Umbrella Chronicles, and I think a little bit after Prime 3 came out, I ended up getting Mario Galaxy. And I think Resident Evil 4. And shit like that.
4 was pretty early on.
So, but yeah, no, I was hyped for Prime 3. I knew it was gonna be the sickest shit. I was Team Metroid over Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4 because Nintendo kid, but I was a faker because, like I said, only now have I finally played it. But I was all in on the hype. I was just like a sideline kid going, yeah, fucking Metroid is cool. He can do whatever. You know?
Yeah. So before we get more into the nitty gritty, I want to ask just like first impressions before we go in. How do you feel about this game? How does it compare to the other two?
So for refresher, I'm gonna go ahead and say, Prime 2 is my favorite Prime game. Prime 2 is in my top 5 of all time. And comparatively, I will say if both Prime games 1 and 2 are 10 out of 10s, which in my opinion they are, Prime 3 is like an 8.5 or a 9. It is my least favorite of the 3. However, I want to get it straight that there is some stuff that we'll talk about that I think Prime 3 does the best. It is a very fucking great game. But there's some other irks that I have that kind of hold it back. But also it's hard for me to follow up a game that I quickly was like, this is one of the best games I've ever fucking played with Echoes.
Yes. I think I feel very similar because I think even as a kid being super hyped for this, it wasn't necessarily disappointment, but it was the realization that like Prime 2 was better by the end of the game. Especially because, not to jump all the way to the end, but like the final boss, while cool, is nowhere near as like built up to and exciting as the fight against the Emperor Ing into the like final rematch with Dark Samus at the end of Prime 2. The Reunit 313, which again I don't want to talk too much about, like the final area, which I have a lot of praise for, by the way.
We'll talk plenty about that final area.
Yeah, but that boss is just like, it's kind of a like, okay, what is this thing? Like a little bit of a non sequitur, you know. It's only it's like obviously it's hinted at through the stuff on the Valhalla, which is another really cool place that we'll talk about. But it's just not as you know, it kind of leaves you with the sense of like, that wasn't as like epic or satisfying as you know, like the Prime 2 ending. So I kind of, you know, and it was also very easy. That I think is an overall problem with the, maybe not a problem with the game, but like it just gets pretty easy by the time that you're, especially at Elysia, the second area. Like you just have so many energy tanks that this trade-off of hyper mode just starts to feel weaker and weaker, and the game almost peaks with difficulty with the first Leviathan Guardian, Moganar.
Yeah.
Where like that requires a lot of like strategy and like good balance of using hyper mode and like dodging attacks and, you know, even like farming health at points. Like I watched you fight it for the first time. So like overall I would say, yeah, if I were to like rate the games, like all the Metroid games in order, like Prime 3 would be kind of lower on the list overall, but not bad by any means. Just like uh not quite towards the top as like Prime 1, Super, Prime 2, Zero Mission,
Yeah.
Fusion, etc. Like it's kind of below, like Dread, it's kind of below those, and then, but it's above a few others that I also do like, like Samus Returns or whatever. Like I do think like that game has a lot more like jank problems with it that I feel like Dread solves than like Prime 3, but I think the problems that I have with it will be revealed once we just start talking about it, sort of like go through the game.
Right.
Cuz this game begins with like 90 minutes of set piece after set piece.
So
it does not let you do any exploration.
That was immediately a thing that kind of caught me off guard, is that pretty immediately you are thrown into this huge segment where you go onto the big old fucking ship of the I forgot what the actual
GFS Olympus.
The Olympus.
GFS Olympus.
Yeah,
yes.
and you meet up with the commander and stuff, and the three new bounty hunters that are also part of this, as your goal is kind of given to kind of help purge the corruption of Phazon. And I will say, as much as I do, like, because I ended up starting the game, got into the first area, and then kind of stopped a little bit, and then I restarted the game less than a week ago and played through it. And I will say, I do think this area is pretty fucking slow for the first bit, but I was pretty immediately actually really interested with the three new characters, with Redris, Gandrada,
Gore.
and Gore. Yeah. Gandrada is definitely just lady. Like it's the most Cortana looking motherfucker they could have made, and she has a real good human face for the Wii. But I really enjoy that her first appearance is her fucking just as you, because her whole thing's that like she's like a chameleon, she's like a clone. So just having to be like, what the fuck? There's another one. What's with this Samus?
Yeah. The three hunters, I think that's a cool move because the hunters in Hunters literally know, like, who are they? Like, they're just like action figures. You like look through the manual and it tells you like Spire is the last of his tribe, and like Trace is going on a mission to please his galactic empire, and it's like literally none of that is communicated in the game. Like, who cares about any of that? You just have like shitty Doom or like Quake like deathmatch battles with them in a room. That's all your experience with them. That's why like Silux being an actual character in Prime 4 is interesting, because he was a nothing character in Hunters.
Yeah, like all the hunters in Hunters are like if you watch Kamen Rider Ryuki and all of them were Kamen Rider Scissors.
Right, yeah.
Like, so
they were that level of like, who is this guy? Like, what is this guy? Whereas like, they definitely like, the three hunters immediately have a lot more personality in in Prime 3, like right when we see them. They are kind of like, they're pretty broad personalities, and we don't spend as much time as I would like with them, which is something that Prime 4 will potentially, solve by having like more of a focus on like its cast of characters, because that's like a prominent thing in that game, is like helping, like there's GF members that you help on the planet, kind of like Pikmin 4. If I can compare it to anything, it's just like finding like the survivors of like the beginning of the game and all that stuff. So like there's the potential there for them to be like more engaging characters, more of a character arc. because unfortunately the hunters, like, they show up, they have a bunch of cool scenes in this first section on Norian, which is the planet battle place that you have, like, right at the beginning. And Norian kind of functions as, like, it's weird, the Valhalla, or not the Valhalla, the Olympus is a tutorial, and you do a boss fight at the end of it, and then you go to, like, a different, slightly longer, more in-depth tutorial planet with Norian.
Yeah, Norian felt weird. It kind of felt like just part 2 of what you were already doing. It does end really strong, where, like, you're fixing up the generators to, like, stop this Leviathan from killing everybody, and eventually gets into a sick-ass boss fight. But it's a weirdly slow intro. Like you said, the game kind of gets picked up in, like, almost the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, it's because even after that, then you have, like, even more tutorial after Samus wakes up from a coma after the fight with Ridley and, like, Dark Samus showing up.
Yeah,
and she has, like, the PED, suit on. Yeah, go ahead. What I was
gonna say is that so it's like, I will say the end of Norian's fucking cool, where, like, you're rushing to get that third generator after beating Ridley's fucking ass, and then Dark Samus shows up, wrecks your shit, and then, like you said, you get a new suit, and you kind of just continue what you were already doing with, like, tutorial shit. It feels like go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, one thing I thought was always funny about that is that when I first played the game, I assumed Norian would, like, I kind of knew about the different planets set up already, which we'll talk about, but I assumed that, like, Norian, it would be similar to, like, the Talon Overworld in Prime 1, where, like, you come back to it and there's, like, a whole huge second half that's, like, the, in Talon Overworld, it's, like, the underwater section and everything, that you come back to, like, midway through the game with more upgrades. You can come back there and there is more stuff like that to explore on that planet, but it's not, like, that much. I believe you only get a power cell, which is, an important end game thing. And you have to fight literally the worst mini boss in the entire fucking franchise to get it, the Metroid Hatcher. I really hate. Oh my
fucking god. This shit-ass fucking boss that you can beat standing still, and you fight it, like, 4 times. Yeah. You fight it all the time. Anyone complaining about any of the fucking Guardians in 2 has nothing, because some of those Guardians are fucking annoying. I would rather a tougher, annoying boss than literal baby food when it comes to, like, God.
Oh, yeah, especially, like, once you get the X-ray visor and you have the Nova Beam, it's like, like, you just kill it in one hit. It's just, which is nice, because the actual process of fighting it is very annoying with the Wii controls. So.
Wait, what do you mean the X-ray visor?
Okay, so there are certain enemies that have like phase-on helmet things.
Yeah.
So if you use the X-ray visor and lock on to them, it will zoom in on that, and you can, like, sniper shot them with the Nova Beam and kill them in one hit.
Right, but is the Metroid Hatcher one of those enemies that can do that?
Yes.
God damn it! I didn't do that. I didn't know that. Fuck.
That's fine.
Oh well.
It makes for a better experience. But anyway,
I'll learn that next time.
So it's just interesting that, like, Norian kind of, like, not a terrible, like, planet or a set piece or whatever. Like, it's just kind of like you're in a valley, and it's just like a Galactic Federation base. So, like, most of the lore that you're reading is just, like, Federation related stuff. So it's, like, not super interesting, because you're not, like, reading the history of a species living on that planet, or, like, the machinations of the space pirates or whatever, like in the other planets. But yeah, I really like the, like, Rundus saving you from, like, a battle outside, him saving you against Ridley is really cool.
Very.
Gandrada calling you Sammy and saying, like, oh, space pirate gray is not my color. Like, there's a lot of great, really corny one-liners and, shit in this. So all the people mad about that one guy from Prime 4, being too quippy, lest we forget that Prime 3 had all the like X-Men characters showing up and delivering comic book one-liners,
And Rogers is literally Iceman anyway.
Yeah.
Like
and like Mystique for Gandreda because she is a shapeshifter as well.
And fucking Beast because he's smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Gore, I'll say this. There's a really interesting scene when he's first, like when he helps you, like he punches like one of the like Berserker Lords like through a fucking wall and like beats it up.
Yeah.
And he gets out of the robot suit and he like caresses the suit in a very gentle way. I always found that very interesting. Just on like a character level of like, does he have like he uses that suit as a machine. It like amps him up and like roids him out and everything. Which is why like he's like a complete asshole when you're fighting him, on Elysia.
Yeah.
But he also is like, he's a machine himself. So he has like sort of a respect for machines, like sort of in the same way that like a human might have a respect for like a horse. So that I always thought that that's like, wow, that's such it's just a small, very subtle thing that isn't really remarked upon, but it like is like such an interesting like window into that character. And again, like I kind of wish we spent a little bit more time with these guys like as good guys, because after this point they just become rivals as you're fighting them, across like the 3 main planets. And that's cool. And those are like the best boss fights in the game, probably. And like the music for Rundis is like so fucking good.
I want to go ahead and say this right off the bat. One of the things, there's not a ton, but one of the things that I think Prime 3 is best at in the series is actually the music. I think the music overall is top fucking notch. And I'll also say, it's insane to me that this game is not even a year into the Wii, because it looks amazing.
Yeah, that is crazy. It was supposed to be a launch game, which is like even crazier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, it's such an impressive game in all elements of presentation. It is top fucking notch. Retro, and I mean, I'm not surprised, because Retro, as far, like, they pulled a ShamWow on the fucking GameCube, wringed that fucking console dry, and made some of the best looking games all gen with Prime and Prime 2. And so Prime 3 being this beautiful shouldn't shock me, but it really fucking does. Like, compare it even to, I love Twilight Princess. I think that game looks nice despite its bloomy fucking shit. This game looks way better than that. And I get it's a GameCube game, but like, the only other stuff I can really think of that looks on par with it is like Galaxy. And that has the Nintendo like EAD shit on it. Like, it's crazy how good this game looks.
Yeah, I would say Galaxy Brawl looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Though I know some people don't really like the art style of Brawl. And Other M also looks good, but its art style is not as interesting or like vibrant. It's very like dark. Samus's suit is like piss colored in that game. It's like kind of ugly looking.
That one looks really good, but it's like raw fidelity for me.
Yes. So like I think Prime 3 is like one of the best, like of between the GameCube and the Wii. It's probably like the best looking game in my opinion, if not just for like the environments that you go to, because despite having a cool kind of action popcorny intro that is a little bit of a drag on replays, this first planet, Brio, is breathtaking. And like it's just such a cool world. And this is, I mean, it's the case for the second planet too, which we'll get to, but I just like, you want to talk about good first impression as far as like, all right, we're done with the tutorial, we're done with all this like intro stuff, we're here, we're playing Metroid. You enter this planet, this giant like Aztec style temple, giant like lizard statues just like hanging around. The music, the atmosphere, everything is just perfect. So I just
Yeah,
love
no,
Brio so much as far as
Brio is awesome. It is
yeah.
such a fun fucking level to like explore in.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they use the morph ball a lot in like little tracks and stuff. And another
Mm-hmm.
thing I want to get off my go ahead and say as well. Another thing I love about Prime 3 is that they finally really got some good use out of the grapple hook.
Yeah.
Grapple hook being on the nunchuck, where you like kind of flick the nunchuck to use it
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, is so smart and so fun. I wish they used it a little bit more in combat, but especially in puzzles, it is so fun using it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Brio is a real highlight for me. Aside from
Mm.
one other planet we'll get to, it's in my mind the best planet in the game.
Yeah. The Brio, I also think has, in my opinion, like my favorite lore amongst the three planets, because like the space pirate homeworld, obviously all of that is very contemporary. Like they've just written it. They're talking about like the events, like directly preceding the game. So you're not like learning like the deep history of this planet.
Right.
And Elysia is very interesting on like a moral and ethical level because it's about like robots gaining sentience and then like hoping for the return of their creators, etc., and like slowly like going insane. Whereas like Brio is like a very tragic story about this planet that was torn apart by a conflict between religion and science, which is like kind of a weirdly heavy subject matter to have in a fucking Nintendo game.
Yeah, and that was a big talking point. Like, I mean, it's always been a big talking point for fucking centuries, but it was especially around then as well. So it really is an interesting, like you said, interesting to play a Nintendo game, and especially something that you really could miss easily. I think that's just what makes Metroid Prime's lore so fucking well done, is that there are so many different little things you can just totally miss and still have a good experience. But
Yeah.
going into it and reading the logbooks and stuff, you get some really fucking excellent world building that is just it's extra little dressing for people that really go the extra mile.
Yeah. The story being told is through the perspective of somebody named the Last Science Lord. And he's somebody who, the planet was seeking like constant progress at any cost, and there are these shamans that utilize magic like this primal magic, and they were like, no, we must not abandon our ways, we must not, because at this point they had made contact with the Chozo, because they were like, you are ready for enlightenment and to become part of galactic civilization. But their civilization fell apart because of that, which is like a super interesting conflict. The fact that like Chozo intervention actually fucked them over and didn't help the planet. It like hastened its destruction. I love that as an idea of like, there are problems with, like they may be like peaceful, like spiritual kind of pacifist monk type characters, the Chozo, but they're meddling into the business of other civilizations can cause huge problems. So that's probably why they've become sort of like ghosts hiding away in the fringes of the galaxy, and we don't see them again in person until Dread, which is like way after, like in the timeline, it's like way after where this game takes place.
Right.
Because all these Prime games are before 2. So.
Which I didn't know until you told me. I was like, what?
Yeah, because they're actually pretty weirdly particular about keeping them not as separate canons, but like Sakamoto, the like main Metroid guy, really doesn't want Retro to like dip their fingers too much into like main series stuff. So he's like, don't really talk about the Chozo, don't really, whatever, like go into the history of the Metroids or anything like that. You can have the Space Pirates, you can have the Galactic Federation, but you just don't touch the bird people.
Right.
So that's why like the Luminoth were created because of that, because they were just like, all right, whatever, new planet, Chozo also are here. And then like he stepped in and said, "Don't do that." And then they're like, "Okay, we'll just make them different guys," which is awesome. That's like a great piece of, ingenuity that they came up with. A very interesting, different race with the Luminoth in Prime 2. And then, like, yeah, they allowed them this story opportunity in Prime 3 where they had it where it's like, oh, they can have the Chozo be involved in the lives of the Brionians and the Elysians, but they just made their lives worse, basically, by, their intervention. But yeah, I really enjoy that, that story, like reading all the lore and like piecing it together and having that kind of like unfolding of like understanding like why the planet is so fucked up because the planet doesn't rotate, like it's stuck because like the battle that happened was so cataclysmic that it stopped the rotation of the planet. So that means that that only the equator is livable because one side that's bathed in complete darkness is like a frozen hellscape, and then one side that's facing the sun is like on fire. So only the like that center section, that's where the like where you're spending your time in the game for the most part, is. You do visit like the ice area. I do wish it was a little bit more fleshed out. It's kind of just like a side thing. It feels like the planet's theme is supposed to be fire and ice, but the ice area is just like you go, you get the screw attack, you leave,
Right. Yeah. I kind of almost forgot there was a fucking ice area until you brought it up. I was like, oh yeah.
Which is like, it's cool that there's another ice area in Prime 4 because Phandrana Drifts, that's, everybody's favorite.
It's like a top 3 level in the fucking series. So yeah.
So yeah, excited for more of that in Prime 4. But yeah, just wanted to like set that stage in the sense that like the planet just there's so much lore to it, and it's just one of 3 of the major planets. Like they put so much effort into it. It just kind of shows that they weren't fucking around. Like they really wanted to make this game, as exciting and interesting as the stories that were told across the first 2. Where I think the seams and the cracks start to show, though, is realizing that mostly exploration is going to involve doing a section of a world, going back to your ship, and then flying to a different section. And it feels very disconnected from, it doesn't, until very late in the game, it doesn't really feel like an interconnected planet. It feels kind of like levels that you're going from to and fro.
Yes. I have 2 major issues with Prime 3. We'll get to the other one probably pretty soon. But the first one is exactly what you're saying. And for me, it really reared its head for me in the next planet, in Skytown. Yeah. I think Skytown visually is a super pretty fucking planet. How it's this planet that's levitating off of, it's this town that's levitating off a planet because the actual planet is completely inhabitable. And so it's super cool being able to go between sections of the town by using the grapple hook and literally doing like roller coaster bits as you're flying away. Super fun. But these levels, especially Skytown, and especially, I guess especially Skytown, really, is fucking huge. It's big. And, like, knowing how big the level is, and kind of, it's sometimes a pain in the ass having to, keep doing the roller coaster bit over and over again, or having to go to a specific fucking landing pad, and then realizing, oh, I need to unlock this landing pad, then I can fast travel, and then realizing there's another section of the fucking map you haven't unlocked yet. It kind of gets tiring. And we'll get to...
I feel like Pirate Homeworld is also pretty bad, because there's like trams on that. There's like a lot of times where I'm like, where the fuck even am I landing? Like, where am I going? Like, what part of this world am I at? which like is a, it's not necessarily a bad thing to have like a large, like huge scope game, but I think because they took the amount of content that would be in like a normal Prime game and sort of like exploded it into these 3 planets and then sort of like made those planets a little bit bigger because they're on their own and everything, it kind of makes it so that it's like they just all function as like mini Metroid Prime worlds. So, with their own like distinct zones and everything, especially Brio. Like I feel like it has like multiple biomes that you go into, which is cool in one way. But like I said, it feels like, unfortunately, especially Brio at first, it feels like just really disconnected from. Like it isn't until like very close to the end of the game. It wasn't until the section that you were asking me to help you with that it's like, oh, this place actually all connects to one another. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think Brio does that better, but like you said, it feels like they kind of got overwhelmed with, oh, we've got a lot more space on the Wii disc than we do the GameCube disc. Let's make the worlds bigger, because I think Prime 1's worlds, I think, are like, they're tight, they're perfect, the perfect size, where you can go like one of the biggest areas of that game is Fendrana Drifts. You can get to one end of that area to the other in like less than like 10 minutes. But every time you do, you're coming across landmark after landmark after landmark. You're never feeling lost. Prime 2, I think, does that very well as well. Sanctuary is a big fucking level. But it's also constantly interesting to go between areas and like tourist bog stuff. Plus, you've got the dark and light world to go between. So the game is always feeling fresh as you're going between levels and kind of going, let me go back here quick. And it doesn't take that long. Going in, I know where to go now, feels fucking forever in Prime 3. And it's really fucking annoying sometimes. Because it's like, I know where to go, but I have to go all the way fucking over there. And sometimes the game knows, like, I can try just cheating, where like I have to tether something with the ship. Okay, now I know, okay, let me get the ship so I can fucking take it over there real quick, because I know exactly where I need to go. But then the game's like, if you land the ship, you have to drop what you're tethering. It's like, god damn it. So I have to take the long way. And God. It's funny that you bring up the Pirate Homeworld, though, because, not to skip forward a little bit, but I guess we will, the Pirate Homeworld is actually a level I really fucking like. It's my other highlight for me, aside from the ending, because the Pirate Homeworld, I do think, is almost just as bad as Skytown for having those sequences like, oh my god, I go all the way over here. But the world around it, having an area that feels even more alien than anything else you've been to, and having like the acid rain you deal with and all this shit, plus the highlight of my game, honestly, for me was because like basically the big part of each level is that the hunters have gone rogue. No one knows what they're happening, and you in turn have to fight each one. The Gandrada fight is straight up my favorite part of the game. I love that fight. Really good. It's so fucking good. And so, like, the Pirate Homeworld was a part I really liked. Yeah, it got annoying, especially towards the end, when you have to kind of, like, fiddle around with getting on the Leviathan ship and finishing that section so you can go to the final planet. It got pretty fucking annoying with going back and forth. But I found the setting and also how they use the X-ray fibers to decipher, like, the language. I felt that carried the plan enough. For me, my least favorite part, and I know you mentioned to me privately that a lot of people's favorite part of Prime 3 supposedly is Skytown. That is my least favorite part of the game. Because it feels like it's the longest part of the game, and it's the part that feels like it does the most meandering. Even though there are some cool things in it, I constantly feel like I'm just kind of wasting my time half the time in it.
Oh, yeah. The traversal in Skytown sucks because it's so strung out. Like, the hallways are long and the areas are, like, very... Like, it's a really cool looking, like, it's a steampunk aesthetic. That's really cool. You know, it has that, like... You know, there's a big gas planet and everything beneath it. Like, that stuff is cool. The problem is, there's a lot of things that happen that, like, alter the way that you traverse through it, including when you drop the bomb, that make it so that like it starts to become unclear how to traverse from one part to the other. And that gets a little bit better when you get the screw attack, but it's still like very annoying. And it is just like, I don't know. I feel like the exploration, I mean, you kind of want to get lost, of course, but like it does feel a little bit needlessly confusing at points in Skytown for sure. For me, if like I said, I would say like my overall favorite planet as far as like, aesthetic and lore and everything is Brio, but I do like all the planets. I do really like the pirate homeworld because it feels very distinct from like Phazon Mines, which is like the base of operations for the pirates in the first game. I'm really glad that it's like it still feels as like oh, you're in a hostile environment as that, but it doesn't feel like a complete copy of it. Like you said, it has like those the acid rain. It has like the like just this dark like neon orange and red aesthetic to it that's like very striking.
It's a cool looking fucking section.
Skytown does have the worst boss though, because Helios, while not a terrible boss, you can just shred that motherfucker's HP so hard with hyper mode that like the coolness of its fight and like the like nano machines like forming into like body parts and everything like that is diminished very quickly. But last time I played through it in hyper mode, so it was like a little bit more challenging, but normally you can just absolutely wreck that fucking thing.
It's
super
funny.
hard.
When I was fighting Helios, I was immediately like, I'm not a huge fan of this fight. This fight's kind of dumb. And it immediately reminded me of the fight against 343 Guilty Spark in Halo 3,
Right.
which also fucking sucks. That's also a stupid fight. And I'm like, damn, 2 fucking sci-fi shooters in 2007 have you fight an orb and both of them are like lame. It's like, damn, what the fuck?
Yeah. And also, like, not to keep on piling on poor Skytown, but Gore is really cool, and I like how he has a lot more of a presence before you fight him than I guess Rundus does, because you see the like all the people like frozen to the walls at points.
That was cool.
The level, which is really cool. But when you fight, like, again, you can just destroy him with the hyper beam, and this is to me, this is the other major problem with Prime 3 is the hyper beam is way too fucking short.
I was waiting for this. Holy shit. Okay. Let me get it straight. Hyper mode in concept is fucking awesome. Having to waste an energy tank to give yourself superpowers for a limited time in concept, if I was in the writing, I'd be like, that's fucking awesome. The issue is Prime 3 is obsessed with hyper mode. And there are constant times where let's say you're doing one of the major Phazon fights where it's like one, like, Helios or whatever the fuck. Fine. I get having to use hyper mode. But regular just fodder enemies will also transition into hyper mode, meaning you'll be shooting at them, but then they just turn into hyper mode, so you have to go into hyper mode. And and I think it kind of disrupts some of the combat, because what it makes the game, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, it makes the regular beams, especially when you start out with just the regular fucking energy beam, feel too weak. It feels like you have to do hyper beam and hyper mode way too fucking often. And I feel like kind of just takes away the power of that, because Prime 1 and Prime 2, you feel capable even in the beginning, but you get more and more capable. It feels like outside of hyper mode, you aren't as capable as you should be, even though the game's telling you you're a badass right now. And I just wish... And they do interesting stuff with it, but hyper mode's like extra abilities come way too late for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the hyper mode abilities suck. By the way, except for the missiles that you get from Helios, the like ball, completely useless. It's used for like 2 sections in the. It's used for one section to enter Skytown, and then I think it's like used maybe one more time in like the normal gameplay, and then I think it's used in phase.
Yeah,
that at least is that is designed completely around hyper mode, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But another problem I have with combat and hyper mode, to go off of what you're saying, is that missiles, to go off with the beam stuff, giving you the ice missile seems cool, but it also kind of slows down the pace of combat because you're freezing things and then having to shoot them. So it's like kind of the same problem as like the 2D Metroid games when you get the ice beam and it kind of slows things down a bit. And I love the ice beam, do not get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But that's better for more of a platforming, slower, like that kind of thing. In the heat of combat, it's not as interesting. And like you said, there are other options to like devastate a group of enemies in the previous Prime games. The super missile, so a beam combo, charge up, power beam, press the missile shoot button, you shoot out a super missile, it can hit like 3 guys at once, that are all clustered together. They go, ooh, flying everywhere.
Was desperately missing the super missile.
Yeah. They don't have it in Prime 3 for some reason. They do have the Seeker missiles, which were pretty annoying and finicky to use in Prime 2, and are still that in Prime 3.
Yeah, because it's like every time you want to use the Seeker missile, it still shoots a missile before it activates it. So really, when you have to use 5 missiles, you use 6. Ugh.
Uh-huh.
And
in the storm missiles in Dread are just so much better than the Seeker missiles in fucking Prime 2 and 3 that I was like, oh my god, they saved this shitty mechanic in the 2D game for some reason instead of the Prime games.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the ice missile, because when you first get the ice missiles and sometimes especially in like funny enough Rio, they do some cool platforming stuff where you can freeze like fuel gel like stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool, but you get that one up because like you upgrade your beam twice in the game. You get multiple hyper mode upgrades. You only get the one upgrade for your missiles. Yeah. And so, honestly, towards the end of the game, I'm like, I still just have ice missiles. Like, it felt like it was missing something. Like, oh, I missed an upgrade. Like, it shouldn't just be ice missiles, and it is. I like the ice missiles, but like you said, it feels like, honestly, half the time I use ice missile, it feels like just spice it up and not have to constantly use hyper mode.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that the kind of inconvenience of using the missiles, like them not being as useful as they were in Prime 1 and Prime 2, because like getting the super missiles in those games are like huge, awesome moments. Like in Torvasbog, you get the super missile in the like arena with all the space pirates and everything. It's just like awesome to like take them out.
Yeah.
With that, and then like you can just like well-timed super missiles can shred a boss, like if you are skilled. Whereas like with hyper mode, you really don't. It's kind of eliminates the skill. You have to manage it well, but really Moganar is the only boss where it's like managing is a significant portion of like the fight. Whereas like you can just kind of face tank a lot of the attacks from Helios and then just destroy him with the hyper beam. You can just face tank attacks from Gorn, destroy him with the hyper beam, and that's the thing, is that the hyper beam, it becomes the devastating crowd clearing attack. So they have to just, they have to make enemies like kind of bullet sponges, and like really, and like you said, they just turn into hyper mode at points. But then when you actually do shoot them in hyper mode, you still kill them in like 2 shots. So like even if they're like HP spikes when they, put on hyper mode, you still just like you kick their ass super hard. There's a couple challenging moments with it, but I would say like the last time hyper mode felt like like, all right, I really have to juggle this. It's interesting when playing on the hardest difficulty, which is also named hyper mode.
Which is
Is
just awesome.
in Elysia when you're dropping the bomb, which is a really cool set piece. And you're like fighting a horde of enemies.
That part
like,
is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me wish, because of how good it is, it makes me wish they did hyper mode later. But I know, like, the corruption and stuff, and it's cool in a story mode, where it's like, if you let it stay too long, or if you, like, it'll kill you, and you'll turn literally into Dark Samus. I think that's super fucking cool. I think they give it to you too, I think they give you it too early. Because the whole game hinges on it. And it kind of feel, I hope it doesn't come off that we're like constantly complaining about Prime 3.
Right.
Because I still want to keep it clear. Prime 3 is great. It's just sadly that what makes Prime 3 so good is what also made Prime 1 and 2 so good. And that a lot of the new additions are either solid or just feel like a downgrade. One big one I also want to talk about, and it's probably actually a big thing. It's a bigger thing thinking about it now. What do you think about the energy cell hunt?
So in Prime 1 and 2, they made you do like a end game, like collect these items, to progress. Prime 1, you could get a good amount of the artifacts if you knew where they were, like as you're just going along. The game actually is sort of structured in a way that you encounter the impact crater with, all the totems that tell you, like, give you hints for the artifacts. So you'll encounter that. You could potentially encounter it as soon as you get missiles. So you have that knowledge in your head, and you're sort of like looking around, and like, you need the Phazon suit to get all of them. Like, there's one that requires the Phazon suit, so you can't, until the very end of the game, you can't complete that quest. But I always do, like, I'm able to go through it just fine. Prime 2, they really make you wait until you get the light suit to do all the, the Dark Sky Temple keys. And then with this, like, my opinion on it is it's, in a way, it's more forgiving because you only need to get a few of the energy cells in order to... Like, you don't need to get all of them in order to explore the whole of Valhalla, unless you want to do 100%. The problem is, that's not made very clear, and it has branching paths. So you could honestly just want to do, like, mainline, like, critical path, whatever, not want to go too much off the beaten path. But if you don't know exactly where, like, the information is to, like, get the coordinates for, like, Aurora Unit 313 and everything, then you could just waste some of the energy cells going into, like, those other offshoot sections of Valhalla. And that's pretty fucking annoying. Because, like, like I said, sometimes you just sort of want to be like, all right, where am I going? I just want to get this thing. I want to get out of there. I want to do it. It's like the most efficient way possible. Overall, like, not... Like, I don't have a problem with any of the, like, end game hunts, because I like going around the world and, like, finding, interesting new areas that I hadn't experienced yet with, like, all the final kit of the game. But I definitely think that, like, people who say that Prime 3 did it the best because you don't need to get all of them are sort of, like, maybe missing the forest for the trees, and also kind of overlooking the fact that you can make those easy mistakes and sort of, like, end up having to get all of them anyway. So how do you feel about it?
So, it's funny you bring up that people can make the wrong fucking choice and have to get all of them anyway. Because I will say, personally speaking, in terms of the end game hunt, I think it's fucking genius. Having your final farewell for each of the extra levels is awesome. I think Prime 1 did it the best. I think the artifact hunts is best in Prime 1. By far. I think the temple keys in Prime 2 Are Prime my least favorite part of that game? I still like it. I still think it's good. I think both of them are better than the Triforce Hunt and Wind Waker, for example.
Okay. Yeah.
But at least in the GameCube Wind Waker. Prime 3, I think, makes the mistake by being like, hey, if you go the right way, you only need 4 of the 9. Because if you don't go the wrong way like me, because God forbid I explore, you can use all of them to get like some missile upgrades and a fucking ship missile upgrade. The least useful thing of all fucking time.
The most worthless upgrade in any Metroid game. Like, just like, and this is a shocking thing to me because, you know, I figured Fusion was like the king as far as like, why are you making me collect 72 power bombs? Why is this necessary? These are worthless in the final battle. They're just useful for exploration, and most of the time I'm exploring to get another power bomb because of how fucking many there are. There's like 20 of them in the game. It's like ridiculous. And you like I said, you end up with the final count of like 75 power bombs.
That's crazy.
But at least those are potentially useful in exploration. The fucking ship missiles are like it is an abandoned mechanic because they wanted to have ship combat be more of a focus in the game. So they created the idea of like these, the ship missile upgrades. And I think maybe they wanted to have ship combat happen like between, like when you're traveling from one point to another or something like that. And then they just had to like get rid of it. They had to scrap it. Eventually it kind of came back in the form of the Viola in Metroid Prime 4. I say that as if I've played the game. I'm just observing the footage that we have so far. Game is not out yet.
We're eating what we can.
At the time recording this. Yes. But that's similar. When I saw that, I instantly thought, well, first I thought Jak 3.
That's what I thought.
Oh, is this... yeah. Then I thought, oh, is this like... That similar to the scrapped like ship like flying around mechanic that they said that they had, and then we're like, we couldn't make it work on the Wii, but we kept in the missile upgrades because we made all the puzzles and everything for them already. So, so it just ends up like there's a lot of times when you're like, oh, I'm exploring an area, I'm doing a thing. Oh, I just solved this puzzle, this morph ball puzzle, or this like boost ball or whatever, like you're doing this like intricate thing, you get a fucking ship missile, is like so demoralizing. It's so
it's insane. Because I think I got more ship missiles in the game, like my roster, my amount of ship missiles I can hold, I think was more than the amount of ship missiles I use in the entire game. And, I wish they did more to ship in the first place. It's kind of just glorified fast travel, and sometimes required, because whenever you're, like, in the ship, and you can poke around and stuff, it's super cool being able to press the button stuff. Do you use the fucking, like, little thing to, like the codec thing one time in the intro, and then all else you use, like, you can press a button to close the visors, and open them, and clean them, and that's cool. Why? You don't need them. You just it's a map system, and you can really tell they wanted to do more with it, and it's sad that they didn't get to. But I made the mistake of where I went the wrong way, so I had to get every energy core, and some of the energy cores are easy to find and stuff like that, pretty obvious, and the Valhalla will tell you like information on where they are. Some of the other ones are a pain in the fucking ass to get. And you just have to fucking just have an idea and, like, maybe just look it up. Like, what am I going to fucking do? I had to get you to, like, help me at least somewhat figure out what to do for one of them in fucking Brio.
Yeah, that is, like, the most involved thing in the whole game as far as, like, a puzzle and everything. Is just, like, oh, yeah, go here, extend a bridge, leave, go get an energy thing, or get the generator, extend the other side of the bridge, go across, drop the thing down. It's just like fucking Jesus Christ.
At that point, I was
so...
like, I want to fucking go to phase. Please.
Yes.
Please. Let me fucking go.
I want to just please stop. I just want to get to the end game. And like, it's like with the 2D Metroid games, they have some involved moments of like you have to do like these quick executions and everything with like the Shine Spark. But those are like still short in like set pieces. Like they're just small sections. This is like a pretty involved thing that goes across the map and goes to like different points on the map and everything, which is cool in theory, but like it and I will say that the ship grapple ends up being a lot more like used in puzzle solving than the missiles, which I think are like only like the only time you use them after Brio is when you need to like blow up a hole to get to the Leviathan seed on the pirate homeworld. Yeah. So like I think that's like the only other time like where you really need to use them. And it's such a, like I said, it's just such a worthless mechanic. I can't even say it's like, oh, this is a bad part of the game. Like I can complain about like, oh, the planets, them being separated means that they're like, they feel really disconnected. There isn't like a central hub, like there isn't like Prime 2 and 4. There isn't like, that tightly, intricately wound world like there is in Super Metroid, etc. Even in like within the planets, they try to kind of do that, but even those sections feel very sectioned off. So it's like, it just feels like you're going through like video game levels, going kind of back and forth through them in a lot of ways when you're like getting on your ship. Like that's a problem. Hyper mode's a problem. The ship missiles are more of like just really stupid than it is like a fatal flaw of the game.
It's never annoying. It's just fucking weird. But I will say, I like the ship grapple. I actually think that is a decent way to really cool. Actually like integrate your ship. Because in Metroid Prime 1 and 2, your ship is basically just a free fucking refill. You come across it like 4 times in the fucking game each. You'll refill and everything. That's it. That's fine. Yeah. But they actually make the ship more of a thing in Prime 3. Even with some of the cut content. I will say it's actually my favorite ship design of the Prime games.
Yeah,
I actually
cool that it's in Prime 4 as well.
Yeah, I think the ship look in Prime 3 is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the ship. I think another issue I have is it's weird that you don't get a third ship upgrade after it, like in the pirate homeworld, because you get one in Brio, the missiles, you get the grapple in Skytown, and then you don't really get another upgrade for it in in the pirate homeworld. It's like interesting because like they actually do have like a consistent pattern of like, oh, you get one ship thing, you get one like hunter upgrade, you get one hyper mode upgrade like per planet. But that one, it's like you get a hunter upgrade and you get a hyper mode upgrade, the fucking hyper grapple, which is again worthless. Jesus, it's only used twice. So.
There was a point where like in order to get to where you like put in the code for the fucking Leviathan to get to phase, it's like a thing that's blocked off by the fucking hyper grapple to get in there. I forgot how the fucking hyper grapple worked because I hadn't played in the last day. So I was like, swung it, and like,
what do I do?
I'm not pulling it. What's fucking going on? Is the game busted? I'm like, oh, I have to hold the thumbstick. God.
Yeah.
And it takes forever too. It's like a fucking 10-second like charge.
Yeah.
Fucking
They're
weird.
Just like, so yeah, there's a lot of like, it's all in the details that sort of like make it so that it's not a bad game, but a lesser game from all of those other. How do you feel about the Ridley fight at the end, like the Omega Ridley fight?
I think it's the best of. Okay, well actually I don't know, because I think the first fucking phase-on like fight in Brio is actually pretty fun. It's tough, but it's pretty fun. The second one's a joke. I think the Omega Ridley fight is actually cool. I don't know, like it's a good fight. It is. But I like the Ridley fight in Prime 1 more. I
Yes, it
think
is
that,
just kind of a slightly retooled version of that fight.
which I will say, it is cool doing that in what we thought the final Prime game is, having that one last kind of almost nostalgic Ridley fight that kind of reminds you
Yeah.
of, oh, we did this in Prime 1 and now it's coming ahead. I do, like I said, I think the Ridley fight in Prime 1 is one of the best fights of the entire fucking trilogy. That moment is so fucking cool, and especially how they end it.
Possibly the best Ridley fight in the whole series, because even in Super Metroid, like, really good fight, but it is just like a, like, don't fucking die, it's challenging, but it's not like super involved, whereas like that one's pretty involved, and I love the progress. Like, I love a fight that has a sense of progress, where like you get him down to a certain health point, and then like his wings, light on fire, so then you have to like fight him on the ground. It's just like this like big knockdown, drag out fight. Whereas like, the Omega Ridley fight, it is just like, you wait for him to fly down, and then he drops down, again, just like in Prime 1, and then you like light him up with the fucking hyper beam or the hyper missiles, and then
I will say as well, comparatively, in Prime 1, you don't fight Ridley until the end. You see Ridley, you're like, fuck that guy, but you don't fight him until the end. In Prime 3, you fight him as like the first fucking boss, and it's hype as shit. But whenever you fight him again, it's not as hype because you already fought Ridley. You don't really see Ridley again. So Ridley just shows up, and it's like, oh shit, Ridley's back. But that's it. You don't have like the knowledge knowing, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy like you do in Prime 1.
Yeah. It would have been cool. Like, this may be a little bit too fanficky and like backseat, like whatever, like Saturday or Sunday morning football, whatever the hell it's called. But
like the fantasy football shit,
it might have been it might have been interesting to have him show up during like the escort mission section at the end of the Pirate Homeworld, and like be a threat there, like not a like boss fight, but just like similar to how he was in Norient, where he shows up and attacks you every so often before your fight with him.
Yeah.
In order to like establish that he is like, oh, we got to deal with Ridley again. And then after you beat him is when he's, or like when you deal with it, like the pirates get him to go into the Leviathan seat. He gets all jacked up on Phazon, gets his new form and everything, and then you fight him there. Like you said, it just is like you're fighting Ridley at the end because it's a Metroid game, and you fight him before the final boss. Like that's what it feels like, kind of like.
Yeah.
It's a cool fight, and it is a better fight than Helios, which is a very disappointing, one of the Leviathan Guardians. I'll say this in general, compared to like the Dark Temple Guardians in Prime 2, like the coherency and the like vibes are just not quite there with the Leviathan Guardians. Like, they're all like Phazon theme, like they're all injected with Phazon, and they all are like appropriate to the planet that you fight them on, but like they don't have that like iconic element in my mind as like, oh, a Morbus and the Chaika and Quadraxis, from Prime 2, like these big, like impossibly huge, very intimidating bosses. Me, god tier savant of Metroid, they're not as hard anymore as they were when I was a child, but like, they just they had that presence, whereas like, and they're all connected to the Dark World in some way, whereas like this, like, they're all connected to Phazon, but like sometimes the themes just like aren't strong enough. Like, it doesn't feel like there's like a united theme across them, when I felt like that was like what Prime 2 did best.
I will say,
and that's true with all the other bosses like in the game, is that like, I mean, sometimes you fight like a space pirate guy jacked up on Phazon. Sometimes you just like fight a robot, that's like unrelated to, Phazon. It's just like a defense drone or something like that. And, a lot of them are pretty cool, and some of them are pretty fucking annoying. Like I said, the Metroid Hunter or the Metroid Hatcher is just like really obnoxious to fight, because like pulling out the arms is like really finicky when you're like using the
Yeah.
grapple to like, yeah, it's just like,
Like you said, I feel like if you didn't read the lore intensely, right, or you kind of
yeah,
forget sometimes, it kind of feels like the three like phase on like the Leviathan Guardians kind of just come out of nowhere, like as in like,
yeah,
oh, by fighting this guy now. It feels like the only ones that really have any sort of real build up behind them is the hunters, is the three guys, and those are like your halfway fight. So it's like that's cool and feeling because once you after you fight them, you do feel like you've kind of more conquered each level, but
yeah.
that means the real big boss of the level doesn't have that same sort of energy. And again, like you said, another thing, one thing I love about Prime 2 is that the Guardians really fucking felt like a presence because they have your abilities. You know you've got to fight one because it's like, there's a fucking concrete reason. You know what the reason is. You know why you have to fight them. I didn't really have that same feeling for Prime 3
Yeah.
for most of the fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like getting upgrades and everything from them can feel a little bit arbitrary, which is true in Metroid Prime 1 as well. Like a lot of them were just like, here's a bug that you gotta fight.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the first game. The context matters. The first game, its gimmick is being a first-person Metroid game. These other two have like more solid gimmicks of like the light and dark world and of the phazon corruption and everything, and yeah, it's just like a little bit thin as far as like there's not that many boss fights except for the hunters that feel like, oh yes, I was waiting for this.
Well, a counterpoint to Prime 1, I will say, is that Prime 1's whole thing is that you're just in this weird fucking planet. You have no idea what's on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, you're figuring it out. You're kind of just stumbling
That's
around.
what I'm saying. Like,
so, yeah. I feel like that kind of works out. So, yeah, I don't know. You have more of an actual, like, detailed mission in Prime 3. So I kind of want a bit more out of Prime 3. But, I mean, if you're ready to talk about it, I do think one thing that actually really does stand out for the game, to get back on real positive shit, is the final planet.
Yes, absolutely. Phase, the living planet, the embodiment of Phazon, the source of all Phazon. The final area is undoubtedly the best final area in the Prime trilogy because Prime 1, Impact Crater, it's just one big room. And then you dodge really annoying fidget Metroids. And then Prime 2, I guess you can kind of treat like the Dark Temple grounds as a final area, but the Sky Temple itself is also literally like 3 rooms.
Yeah.
And it's not, you don't even fight enemies on your way there. Whereas in other Metroid games, you had a final zone like Torian, which was like full of turrets and lava and Metroids that are attacking you and everything. So Phase feels like that classic like linear set piece, final level, everything like that. If there's anything that it sort of like lacks compared to those other games, is that it doesn't really test your the skills that you've been using throughout the game, except for the hyper mode stuff, because you're locked into hyper mode permanently.
I thought that was fucking sick. That
I think that is really cool. Yes,
that you are permanently in hyper mode until you beat it, and that your health bar actually fills up only to the point of like all the the energy tanks that you get. So I got almost every energy tank, but because I didn't get every single one, I did not have a full fucking meter, and it's constantly draining down. So you kind of have an urgency to keep going. It is the moment where I feel like they truly nail hyper mode for me.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And the world is just like, so it is like the most like alien and like, in not even the sense of like the pirate homeworld where it feels like a civilization, that like you don't understand. Like this is like a being that shouldn't exist. It's like at the edge of the galaxy. It's like millions and billions of years old. It's just like this fucking freak organism that exists and has been shooting out, its seeds across the galaxy in order to like hit planets, corrupt them, with the ultimate like propagation of it becoming another version of itself that then will send out more seeds and then, propagate into more than just exactly like that, to spread like a virus across the entire galaxy, which is like a really cool set piece and a really cool way to like bring everything full circle as far as Phazon being an overall threat in the 3 games. One thing that we haven't talked about too much is Dark Samus's presence in the game, and that's because, weirdly enough, despite her being the main antagonist of this one, as opposed to like a secondary one in 2, she is way less present in this game than she was in 2, because you only encounter her at the very beginning of the game, and whenever each of the hunters die, you see her. Like she takes over their body and like absorbs them.
And it's almost like this weird, like almost like kind of like winged angel, which I
like
actually think was super
death.
Sick, super cool. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because Prime 2's whole thing is having Dark Samus kind of this every once in a while just show up and have like a quick fight. So it kind of felt like, oh shit, we gotta fucking deal with it. And yeah, in Prime 3, Dark Samus is the main antagonist. You don't have the Ing or whatever, but it kind of pulls the Ridley thing where you'll see Dark Samus every once in a while, but you do not fight Dark Samus until the very end of the game.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty easy fight.
Yeah.
Like,
which is very disappointing.
I'll say, like, especially compared to Prime 2's Dark Samus fight, that felt like you were fucking clinging on and fucking scraping by.
Yeah.
Prime 3's, like, I died on the first attempt of me doing, because it's 3 back-to-back fights.
Yeah.
I died in the first attempt because I entered it with, like, less than half health. When I did my second attempt, I fucking wiped the boss fight. It is an easy fight. Prime 3 in general, I played on Veteran because I didn't lock Hyper Mode. Prime 3 is, like, I know people say Prime 2 is too hard, so I get why they made it too easy.
Prime 3 is way too easy.
Prime 3 is too fucking easy.
That's also my problem with Zero Mission, where it's like, look, I get Fusion is tough. It has a lot of fucking tough bosses in it. But Zero Mission, like, all the bosses are just so pathetic and just, like, over very quickly. I love that game. Don't get me wrong. It's a fucking masterpiece. But, like, the bosses just feel very underwhelming a lot of the time in that game. Until, basically, like, Mother Brain is pretty challenging, and the final, like, the metal, like, the Robo Ridley fight, when you get 100%, is pretty fucking tough. Like, it's probably the hardest 2D Metroid boss until like Raven Peak in Metroid Dread. It is just like pretty brutal. But anyway, the fight with Dark Samus itself, I would be fine if it was easy, because it's like the first part of a multi-phase fight. But the other 2 phases are also super easy. Like the Aurora Unit 313, which is just like kind of a lame final boss compared to, Metroid Prime. It's the cause of all of these problems. It's literally the name of the game. You're in the depths of the planet. You're fighting this thing that, is like the source of Phazon on this planet. Oh, Metroid Prime 2. You're fighting with like this dark god from like another dimension. You beat it. You have like one final grudge match with this game-long rival as the planet is collapsing.
It's
just
fucking
like this
tight.
epic battle, and then like Phase, awesome set piece going through, like utilizes hyper mode beautifully. It feels like the game was building up to this point this entire time. It's like such a creepy, awesome environment they're going through. You get to the boss and then you remember, oh right, I'm in permanent hyper mode. So you just charge up that that like Gatling gun and you fuck them up super hard with the hyper beam, and also like, who cares that you're fighting one of the AI that the Federation made? Like, that's not a cool final boss.
Yeah, I was about to say,
compared
like,
to like the Emperor Ing or the Metroid Prime.
yeah, like, whenever it like happened, I was like, I felt like I like missed a question in a test. I'm like, wait, we're fighting a fucking Aurora unit, really? And that's the ending. And like the second, I will say, the second phase is easy. It's kind of fun having like the fucking to shoot the tentacles, stuff like that. It's a fun bit. The final bit where it's just a fucking head spinning around and shit. I'm like, again, compare it to Metroid Prime, where you're constantly having to switch beams back and fucking forth, roll under it, and constantly like kind of get around it. And then the Emperor Ing, where you have to use literally every ability you have, and just constantly change up what you're doing. The fucking Aurora unit is just blast that fucker's brain. That's it. And it's like, it's cool, but it's too fucking easy.
Yeah, if you're like, because like that was another thing where like when I first played the game, I didn't read all of the lore, so I was also like, what? Why is an Aurora unit the final boss?
Yeah.
And then playing it again, I realized, oh, it's the one that was installed in Valhalla. That's why, like you can find like the last voice log of the Aurora unit as like the space pirates are like breaking into the ship and stealing it and everything. It doesn't necessarily make it a better boss fight because it's still like a what the fuck is this thing, but like I at least feel better like knowing the context that it isn't just like, okay, it's a giant brain for no reason. And in general, if you want to talk about final bosses that are giant brains, obviously these things are meant to kind of evoke Mother Brain, which, that was, not to get too nerdy about Metroid lore, but that was a Chozo creation, that like, so the idea of the Federation is always like copying the homework of the Chozo, like even their power suits like look similar to Samus. Like that's interesting, but it doesn't really go anywhere like with the plot, the idea of, or the implications of like, oh, we made a brain AI similar to this one very infamous brain AI that killed a bunch of people and, caused a huge problem in the first game. So it's like a little bit underwhelming, and I felt like, again, context, this game came out 1 week after I played Super Metroid for the first time. Super Metroid has, in my opinion, in the context of the time that it was released, the best final boss battle in any video game.
I've not played the 2D Metroid games yet. I plan to soon. I know about that final fight. I know it's hype as fuck.
And it's like amazing storytelling as well. Like the way that it's able to tell and convey like an emotional arc through gameplay is brilliant. It's just like an amazing thing, like seeing it for the first time play out at that ripe young age of 12 years old was transformative, and it gave me the understanding of like, this is why this game is so important. All of the freewheeling exploration and the tone and the atmosphere and everything is one thing, but it's about the way it all culminates, like that narrative, that final like struggle against Mother Brain, the reveal of its final form, and just the like desperate realization that like literally nothing you are doing against this thing is doing any damage. Like it's just flinching off all of your attacks, and then like that like the scene with the Metroid and everything, going from that to Prime 3, in Prime 3 having to in my mind having to follow up that fresh experience, and then also Prime 2's final boss was a very hard act to follow.
Yeah.
So I will give credit to it that it's not a bad sequence of boss fights. And it is like marginally more interesting on hyper mode, because like, the bosses take a little bit more punishment to go down. But it is just like, yeah, if there's any way to sort of like sum up the game and like cap it off, it's like this planet that is like so amazing and has so much potential, and then it just kind of not necessarily fumbles, but it doesn't like go the full 9 yards by the end of it.
Yeah.
That being said, the actual story of destroying Phase, eliminating all of Phazon across, the universe, and leaving the planet, and like the end credits, and like the like monologue during the the end credits of like that with the eradication of the planet Phase, like all that stuff does, in the music, of course, as beautiful as it is, does give you this very satisfying sense of conclusion. So I do think that the game, despite having a kind of weak final boss, at least ends pretty strong on that note. And
I love Samus giving the fucking thumbs up and then just a big fucking message that she sends, just a big fucking bold text, mission complete. I thought that was hype as shit. I thought that was fucking awesome.
That is really good. And then, like, I believe you get the scene of Samus, like, reminiscing about the Hunters if you get, like, 75% at least, something like that.
I got 69.
Maybe 50%.
I get it.
Yeah. And then, of course, with 100%, you get that Prime 4 teaser that wasn't followed up on for, boy, what, 18 years?
18 years.
So
18 fucking years.
We're almost there. We
are almost there. But yeah, I think overall Prime 3 is a very good game, but to say it had big shoes to fill is the understatement of the year. I kind of knew deep down that it was not going to be the best of the three. Like, it was, like, I didn't think Prime 2 would have beat Prime 1 for me. Doing so for me was a fucking, like, monument. And I knew it wouldn't happen again. But I still think for what we got, it is still a very good game.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like, I have so much affection for this game, despite all of its flaws. Because the Prime trilogy are just my favorite games ever,
Yeah.
And, like, Prime 4 just looks so fucking good.
Oh my God.
Very excited for, that game to come out so soon. Again, we're almost there.
I got my amiibo ready and everything.
Yep. I got the art book, the Prime 1 through 3 art book. I read that whole, I looked through it all. I read all the producer notes and everything. Some interesting stuff in there.
I asked for that for Christmas.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So this game, it is, because of that excitement I had for it, it has this, like, weird double-edged effect of, like, by the end of it, I was like, yeah, that was cool. And felt a little bit disappointed when I first played it. But every time I play it after that, I feel a little bit more love. And every time I play it, there's that spark deep, deep down inside of me that remembers the hype for this game before it came out. And it just, like, glows just a little bit, even all these years later. So that is magic. And I cannot undersell that about this game. That, through all of its flaws, through all of its missteps, through all of its, like, I wish this was better, I wish it was more like the first two games, etc. Which, hey, again, looks like they are, addressing a lot of these problems in Prime 4. So I really am hoping that game can knock it out of the park. I'm expecting it to be at least better than Prime 3, that's my, like, and I feel like even if it's as good as Prime 3, that's still pretty fucking good. So, Prime 3, you may be the ugly duckling of this trilogy. You're not as shitty as Hunters.
Yeah, I was about to
that's
say,
a spinoff.
like, yeah.
But, yeah, so we love you all the same, despite all the warts. So,
yeah. Exactly.
Whew. All right. So we have one more game to talk about. before getting to Prime 4. I don't know if we're even going to have enough time to finish it and record an episode about it before Prime 4 comes out. It might be a thing where we do that sometime after Prime 4 comes out and then do a Prime 4 episode like a little bit after we've already played it. Or maybe we do it sort of out of order. It would be kind of weird to do like, oh, we recorded talking about Prime 4 and then do one talking about Federation Force. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, we'll figure that
Federation
shit out.
Force, I mean, you know, that game is a very interesting wrinkle in the overall series. It's weird that both the spin-off games were like different developers too. You know, like it wasn't Retro, they weren't involved, and one was like Nintendo, what is it? Nintendo
Software Technology Corporation.
Yeah. And then one was Next Level Games, which
that's fucking a weird pick. But
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I like Next Level. You know, I think the Luigi Mansion games are fun. Most of the Strikers games are fun. So
people don't like the new one. So
no. Yeah, I don't either. So
but yeah, so I'll like, I have no idea how that's gonna work, but as far as this goes, I'm definitely gonna be releasing this before Prime 4 comes out. So
oh yeah,
you know. But all right, I don't know. Is there any final thoughts, anything like that before we wrap things up?
Let me check my notes and make sure, because I actually wrote notes for this one.
Okay.
No, we got everything, at least on my end.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, we're good. We are set.
All right. So, you want to plug your stuff? Where people can find you on the social medias, or
so
I know you don't use Twitter anymore.
I don't use Twitter anymore. Yeah. I mean, you can still follow me on fucking you follow me on YouTube with Dashpoint. I am planning some stuff that may or may not be happening soon. We shall see. I think I'm gonna try to make a fucking Blue Sky eventually too, probably under just Dashpoint Show or whatever the hell.
Cool.
And sure, follow on Twitter, check out my YouTube, my one video, and then I'd say keep an eye out. I'll see what I'm up to. But what about?
Yeah.
I'm sure people know where to find you, but where can we find you?
Yeah, you just recorded with us for Cartoon Buffoons.
Yes, I did.
Talking about the See and Reel shows that are really bad. Destroy, Build, Destroy.
What an episode.
What would happen? Yeah. And so if you want to check out my channel and my stuff, if you're interested in I'll probably put this on the Metroid channel, honestly. I should put the backlog of episodes all up on the Metroid channel as just like, why the hell not? Just in like the days leading up to Prime 4.
That sounds fun.
So, yeah. Check that out. That's Planet Zebes. A lot of fun. I like making videos that are like not like game reviews or anything like that, but they're very like topical, like weird sections of the franchise that people don't think about. So like talk about commercials for the Metroid games.
I like that video a lot.
Yeah, that's a very fun video. And then I talked about like the way that they've utilized hard mode across the series. I've talked about the way they've utilized ammo across the series, which I might need to update because I saw that there's there's like a secondary ammo thing in Prime 4. So,
oh shit!
That's gonna be fun to see how they handle that. And just like other stuff like that. I did a video talking about like my experience waiting for Prime 4. That's probably my most popular video. It is like a pretty fun channel. Check that out. Again, you might be listening to it on it. I don't know. If you're listening to this on my Patreon, then check that out. And of course, check out It's Only Magic, my main channel, which is all cartoon reviews and retrospectives and things like that. And my podcast, Cartoon Buffoons, going through all the Cartoon Network shows in order. It's a good time. So, all right. That will do it for this long-awaited Metroid Prime 3 Corruption episode.
Thank God.
Join us next time as we talk about Metroid Prime Federation Force. See you.